Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jam Vishnupad Padamahamsa Padaraja Kacharya Asto Tatsata Shishimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jam Vishnupad Padamahamsa Padaraja Kacharya Asto Tatsata Shishimad Shringa Guru Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Premsikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai New Dwarka Dham Ki Jai Their Divine Lordship Shri Shri Rukmini Dwarkadish Ki Jai Their Divine Lordship Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Shrimati Subhadra Ki Jai Their Divine Lordship Shri Shri Gauranitai Ki Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Jamunamaya Gangamaya Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai Harinam Sankirtan Jagya Ki Jai Transcendental Prasadam Distribution Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hare Hare Bol All glories to all the assembled devotees Hare Krishna All glories to all the assembled devotees Hare Krishna All glories to all the assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga glories to Srila Prabhupada Namo Vishnu Hare Krishna Sai Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya So today we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the first canto, chapter 7. We're on text number 27. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Vetidam Drona Putrasya Vetidam Drona Putrasya Brahmam Astram Padarshitam Brahmam Astram Padarshitam Naivaso Veda Samharam Naivaso Veda Samharam Prana Badha Upastite Prana Badha Upastite Vedidam Drona Putrasya Brahmam Astram Padarshitam Naiva So Veda Samharam Prana Badha Upastite Vedidam Drona Putrasya Brahman Astram Padarshitam Naivaso Veda Samharam Pranabadha Upastite Vedidam Drona Putrasya Brahman Astram Padarshitam Naivasu Veda Samharam Pranabadha Upastite Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Detam Padabhotasya Asapadashitam Asamadasamatam Badamupasite Vacha Nasha Asapadashitam Savadasamasam Anvacha Amanabhautasya Vasasambhadashitam Vabasan Manasamatam Dhammapasyate Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Dhanabhatam Pasita Abaso Venesamasa Pasite Bhagavan Uvacha Dekantam Bhutasya Brahmamastram Padarshitam Naivaso Veda Samharam Pranabhada Upasite Vaishnavis Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Detamada Bhutasya Namasa Bhutarshatam Tameda Sambadam Vipasate Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Etamamda Bhautasya Brahma Marsham Upasyatam Nasabhava Samaram Brahma Bhadra Upasyate Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Vedadamona Putasya Achitam Abensu Kasya Avatam Abhatasam Veda Samharam Anabhana Pasyate Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Vedana Tukasya Pramabhatam Ipasyatam Samasam Pasyate Shri Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Uvacha, said, Veta, just know for me, Idam, this, Drona Putrasya, of the son of Drona, Brahma Mastram, hymns of the Brahma. That's a nuclear weapon. Padarshitam, exhibited. Na, not. Eva, even. Asau, he. Veda, know it. Samharam, retraction. Pranabadhe, extinction of life. Upastite, being imminent. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Know for me that this is the act of the son of Drona. He has thrown the hymn of nuclear energy, Brahmastra, and he does not know how to retract the glare. He has helplessly done this, being afraid of imminent death." Please repeat. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Know for me that this is the act of the son of Drona. He has thrown the hymns of nuclear energy, Brahmastra, and he does not know how to retract the glare. He has helplessly done this, being afraid of imminent death." Purport. The Brahmastra is similar to the modern nuclear weapon, manipulated by atomic energy. The atomic energy works wholly on total combustibility, and so the Brahmastra also acts. It creates an intolerable heat similar to atomic radiation, but the difference is that the atomic bomb is a gross type of nuclear weapon, whereas the Brahmastra is a subtle type of weapon produced by chanting hymns. It is a different science, and in the days gone by, such science was cultivated in the land of Bhartavarsha. The subtle science of chanting hymns is also material, but it has yet to be known by modern material scientists. Subtle material science is not spiritual, but it has a direct relationship with the spiritual method, which is still subtler. A chanter of hymns knew how to apply the weapons as well as how to retract it. That was perfect knowledge. But the son of Dronacharya, who made use of this subtle science, did not know how to retract. He applied it, being afraid of his imminent death, and thus the practice was not only improper but also irreligious. As the son of a Brahmana, he should have not made so many mistakes, and for such gross negligence of duty he was to be punished by the Lord himself. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksus Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Upakadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakopa Tubhyascha Kripasindu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Vedidam Drona Putrasya Brahmam Astram Pradarshitam Naivasu Veda Samharanam Pranabada Upastite. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Know for me that this is the act of the son of Drona. He has thrown the hymns of the nuclear energy, Brahmastra, and he does not know how to retract the glare. He has helplessly done this, being afraid of imminent death." So we just finished the wonderful prayers by Arjuna, offering to Krishna. And it's interesting how we see Arjuna was being attacked by Brahmastra, and yet he took the time to offer prayers to the Supreme Lord. He took time to purify himself. He actually took time to perform puja. This was actually puja to the Lord. So he thought it very important in an imminent, very dangerous situation. So what to speak of us when we're performing our duties, or before we perform our duties, do our service, go to our job, whatever. We should take the time to purify ourselves, to offer prayers, to perform our puja to Krishna, that we would get our blessings. And this is what Arjuna did. He considered that to be very important. And there's a reason for that, because he knows that Krishna is the supreme power. He is all-powerful. He has all the power. He has all the knowledge. It's not that he has some power or, he's all kind of powerful, but he's full of power, has all power. Everything comes from him. So he knows Krishna knows everything. So he inquired from Krishna, and Krishna is now telling him what's happening here, and he's going to encourage him on how to solve this situation. He's going to remind him the power that Arjuna has, that he can counteract this. So also here it's very interesting how such powerful material elements there are. Now this nuclear weapon is just like one of the elements, the fire element. There's earth, water, fire, these different elements of the material energy. But they're all very, very powerful. If you just slightly increase the temperature, slightly change something on any of these things, we'll be finished. So just say you increase the temperature a little bit of the sun, the whole planet could be on fire. If you decrease it, then we're just frozen. This is the great power. So this like Brahmastra is like that. It's great power. And Prabhupada's mentioning here a subtle science of how to control these material elements. So this was actually learned, this art Prabhupada mentions here, that this is yet to be discovered by scientists. So maybe Prabhupada's referring to, maybe the devotees will discover this or something. Devotee scientists. But, this is a material science. Devotees are not so much interested in it. But still the power of the elements. So there's fire, and then there's water. Just think. There's the water element. If there's too much water, then you drowned. Just like we have the Samvatarka cloud that was sent by Lord Indra. And Samvatarka means at the time of dissolution, when there's these clouds come and the entire planet becomes like a huge ocean. Everything's just inundated in water. So just see too much water, we're finished. Or too little water, then we dry up. So it's going to mention here all this Samvatarka fire is also coming. These two, when Arjuna counteracted this Brahmastra weapon with his own, the heat was so intense throughout the entire universe that everybody thought it was a Samvatarka fire that comes. That after there's an inundation of water, the Samvatarka clouds, then the Samvatarka fire comes and it just dries up everything and everything just burnt to crisp. This is at the time of annihilation. So we have there's the fire, there's water, and then the earth. We see the earth itself is very powerful. Just here in California, we recently experienced some tremors. Just little tremors, and everything was shaken up for miles, hundreds of miles. Very powerful, these material elements. And also the wind, there's the air factor, which is very powerful. If you don't have enough air, you die. Or if you have too much air, we see what happens. So many tornadoes and things coming. They can blow cities away, destroy cities. And these are just material energies. But yet they can be controlled by a subtle science. And these warriors were trained on how to do this. Can you imagine Arjuna in the middle of a battle going on in modern days on his chariot and his horses? And there was the other side, like maybe there was another artillery of tanks and missiles and so many things. Who do you think would win? If you think Arjuna's on the chariot, it's a very ancient, like a Egyptian or Roman type, what do you say, ancient, not very modern warfare, that he would have no chance. You think Arjuna would win? Even by himself? Oh yeah, we have a hand for Arjuna. Yeah. Now Arjuna is very powerful. Actually, the chariot riders were the most powerful warriors at that time. They were called Maharatis. They could destroy thousands of other warriors. So they'll throw missiles at Arjuna. What can Arjuna do? It's so simple. All he has to do is touch water and chant some mantras, and he could counteract the fire weapon with a water weapon. All their missiles and everything would be completely, just useless. So this is the beauty of the ancient battles and how Krishna created these things. You can see, and now you go to warfare and the soldiers are kind of like dirty looking, and there's nothing very nice about it. Doesn't look good, but you can see Arjuna in the chariot is beautiful. It's decorated, has gems. The warriors are very decorated in all kinds of, gems and jewels. Very beautiful. And they didn't have big industries behind their battlefields, behind the war. You had to have all this technology, all these chemical factories and things to create these weapons. And in the ancient times, all they did was chant some mantra, and it would be manifested. They don't have to go through this whole ugra karma, this technology. Just like when we were in Denver, there's this famous place near Boulder. It's called Rocky Flats. And it's just one place. It's like a huge area, a place where they produce these chemicals or these metals, whatever, like plutonium or something, for creating these atomic weapons. And you see people outside performing all their, they have like walks, and what do they call that when they go and they try to talk against it? They have these, what is it? Protest, yeah. So they go and they protest, nuclear weapons and so many things. But that was just one facility. They had hundreds of facilities all over the place just to produce these things, and so many toxic reactions to these things. So these weapons that they used in those times were more powerful than the atomic bombs that we have today. But yet, they can control them. They can actually pinpoint them. We're going to see in the next chapter, actually after Asatthama is chastised, like if it wasn't enough, they took off the gem, cut his hair, bound him up by ropes, which was embarrassed, worse than death. But yet still, he tries to come back and kill the child in the womb, Maharaj Parikshit, with another Brahmastra weapon. And also to kill the 5 Pandavas there. But it was so fine weapon that it pinpointed that it's going to go to the womb and just kill particular people, but it doesn't harm anybody else. This was the beauty. There wasn't any environmental destruction or some contamination for years. It would just pinpoint its target and it'd be finished. And it can't be stopped. You can't get away from it. Like they have these bombs, these smart bombs that follow their target. But this thing, sometimes you could fake them out, but this thing you can't, there's nothing that can stop it. You can't hide behind anything. That Brahmastra will go towards you and it will get you. But still, that weapon was so powerful, it was nothing compared to Krishna's power. So Krishna entered the womb and he protected Maharaj Parikshit in the womb. Without even waiting for Arjuna, because he knew the time was imminent. So Krishna came with his personal power. So we see everything comes from Krishna. Everything. So we see even this beautiful, the battlefield is so beautiful. Everything was wonderful. Like at the end of the battle, whoever won, they would get all the riches from the other people. But if you win now, what do you get? Nothing. There's nothing there. Maybe some weaponry or something. But see how beautiful that was. So Prabhupada mentions in the purport here, and in other purports we're going to see, he talks about this subtle science. He mentions it like 3 or 4 times in this particular purport. This subtle science of chanting hymns. And it's a science, but it's material. And we'll see also in the next chapter when Asatthama again tries to throw this nuclear weapon. He explains here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says to verse 12, that the Brahmastas are finer than the nuclear weapons. Asvatthama discharged the Brahmastas simply to kill the Pandavas, namely the 5 brothers headed by Maharaj Yudhisthira and their only grandson, who was lying within the womb of Uttara. Therefore the Brahmasta, more effective and finer than the atomic weapons, was not as blind as the atomic bombs. When the atomic bombs are discharged, they do not discriminate between the target and others. Mainly, the atomic bombs do harm to the innocent because there is no control. The Brahmasta is not like that. It marks out the target and proceeds according without harming the innocent. To see how much more powerful this weaponry was. And then in text number 13 of the next chapter, Prabhupada mentions in the purport, the Brahmasta, the supreme weapon released by Asvatthama, was something similar to the nuclear weapon, but with more radiation and heat. This Brahmasta is a product of a more subtle science, being the product of a finer sound. A mantra recorded in the Vedas. Another advantage of this weapon is that it is not blind like the nuclear weapon, because it can be directed only to the target and nothing else. In one sense, it is more dangerous than the atomic bombs, because it could penetrate even the most protected place and would never miss the target. Just see how powerful that is. So because the Pandavas were completely surrendered to Krishna, Krishna protected them. And Prabhupada mentions that in the purport. The Pandavas were 100% dependent on the protection of the Lord, although they were all great warriors themselves. But the Lord neglects even the greatest warriors and also vanquishes them in no time. When the Lord saw that there was no time for the Pandavas to counteract the Brahmasta of the Asvatthama, he took up his own weapon, even at the risk of breaking his own vow. So this is Krishna, he's known as Bhakta Vatsal because he's very kind to his devotees. He actually loves his devotees because his devotees love him. So he's willing to even break his solemn vow. You see, he wasn't a worldly moralist. He was willing to protect his devotees and break his own promise. So this is the beauty of the relationship that Krishna has with his devotees. So again, Prabhupada mentions that in the next chapter. This is text number 15. So this glowing effulgence known as the Brahman Tejas is nothing but the rays of the Lord. Just as the sun rays are rays of the sun disk, so this Brahma weapon also, although materially irresistible, could not surpass the supreme strength of the Lord. The weapon called Brahmastra, released by Asvatthama, was neutralized and foiled by the Lord Sri Krishna by his own energy. That is to say, he did not wait for any other's help because he is absolute. So, and then in text number 17, Prabhupada brings up the point how the devotee is very chaste because he doesn't approach anyone else but the Lord. He doesn't take shelter of anyone. And this was Arjuna did. He was praying to Krishna, he took shelter of Krishna. And Prabhupada says in the purport here, a chaste devotee of the Lord does not look to others, namely any other living being or demigod, even for deliverance from danger. That was all along the characteristic of the whole family of the Pandavas. They knew nothing except Krishna, and therefore the Lord was also always ready to help them in all respects and all circumstances. So why should devotees take help from imperfect beings when you have the Supreme Lord there? Or even demigods. You see, Krishna is the only one that's competent to save his devotees. So this subtle science is very difficult to understand in this age. Like there's no Brahmins supposedly to perform these sacrifices, no real Kshatriyas. But yet, we are actually learning a science of Krishna, the science of God and the living entities. And it is very subtle. It is even more subtle than this material science that the Kshatriyas used. And it's so difficult that even personalities like Vidura, Vidura, he is a very powerful sage. We know who he is. Even him, he had to approach Maitreya so that he could understand this subtle science of God. So this is in the 3rd canto in the 7th chapter. This whole story, further inquiries by Vidura. He's inquiring from Maitreya this subtle science of the difference between the soul and the super soul, material nature, how material nature covers the soul. It's very subtle to understand. So Prabhupada mentions in one of the purports here that the science of Krishna, or the science of God and the living entities, is so subtle that even a personality like Vidura has to consult persons like the sage Maitreya. The conclusive fact is that the relationship of God and the living entity is one of the predominator and the predominated. The Lord is the eternal predominator, and the living entities are eternally predominated. Real knowledge of this relationship entails reviving the lost consciousness of this to this standard, and the process for such revival is devotional service to the Lord. By clearly understanding from authorities like the sage Maitreya, one can be situated in real knowledge, and the disturbed mind can thus be fixed in the progressive path. So this is a very subtle transcendental science that we're learning. And those who are inexperienced in this science, they can't appreciate the relationship the Lord has with all his different devotees. And this arises from, they think, it's from Maya, they think. But in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, actually in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, it's described a very nice analogy. We're discussing the different powers of the material elements. There's earth, water, fire, air, ether. And it gets more and more, it's very subtle, and it gets more and more gross. All the way to, we see like in sound, there's ether. And in the air, there's both sound and touch. And in fire, there's sound, touch, and form. And then water, there's sound, touch, form, and taste. But then when you get to the earth, there's also smell. It has all those, and also smell. So they use that analogy to see that this is actually how these 5 characteristics of devotional service increase with each relationship until all 5 of these things are found in the highest perfectional stage of love of God. You see, that's the conjugal love. So even in the Bhagavad Gita, it describes that this is a supreme science that we have to learn. Evam parampara praptam. And all the kings, they're actually meant to learn this science because they were to execute the purpose of ruling over the citizens properly. This is why Krishna protected his devotees, because he knows that they will protect all the citizens. Whereas if a demoniac king or ruler becomes a leader, then he will just simply exploit the citizens just for his own personal whims. Now there's a nice how this knowledge comes to us. It's in the On the Way to Krishna. That's a chapter entitled The Roads of the Foolish and the Wise. And here Prabhupada mentions there, the knowledge of God imparted in Bhagavad Gita is very subtle and confidential. It is full of jnana, metaphysical wisdom, and vijnana, scientific knowledge. And it is full of mystery also. How can one understand this knowledge? It must be imparted by God himself, or a bona fide representative of God. And then Prabhupada mentions here also, nor does knowledge come from sentiment. Devotion is not sentiment, it is a science. Srila Rupa Goswami says, a show of spirituality without reference to the Vedic knowledge is simply a disturbance to society. One must taste the nectar of devotion by reason, argument, and knowledge, and then he must pass it on to others. One should not think that Krishna consciousness is mere sentimentality. The dancing and singing are all scientific. There is science, and there is also loving reciprocation. Krishna is very dear to the wise man, and the wise man is very dear to Krishna. Krishna will return our love 1,000-fold. What capacity do finite creatures have to love Krishna? But Krishna has immense capacity, unlimited capacity for love. So you see, this is such a subtle, mysterious science, but it's been made very simple for us to understand. And there's that one verse, Yasha Devi Parabhaktir Yata Devi Tata Goro Tashaite Kaititahi Artai Prakasante Mahatmana. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master, all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. And again in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktyamam abhijananti yavanyashasmi tatvataha tatomam tatvato gyatva vishate tad anantaram. One can understand me as I am, as a Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. So these are the Vedic instructions. So if we have faith in the words of the spiritual master and similar faith in Krishna, then this real knowledge of the Atma, the Paramatma, the distinction between matter and spirit, they'll be automatically revealed in our hearts. So this is the process. Now I'd like to end with this nice, this was a lecture Srila Prabhupada gave in 1966, right in the beginning in New York. He was saying the science of God is in the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita. And he said, Param Guyam, quoting that verse from the Bhagavad Gita, it's very subtle and it's confidential. Then Prabhupada says, so Krishna consciousness is a science. You have to take it scientifically, as they are described in the authoritative books, and test it by your reason and argument and knowledge, and follow it. It is science. It is not sentiment. Whatever we are doing here, the dancing, the singing, and everything, that is all scientific. Simply you have to understand it. Therefore, Jnani, only a person who is in knowledge of the science of Krishna, he can make rapid advancement. And he is very dear to Krishna, because slow but sure, he is making sure progress. It is no sentiment. So you can see the science, as Arjuna took the time to approach Krishna and ask for his protection, ask for his knowledge. So similarly, we also should take the time. Even though in the beginning we may not think that you're making advancement, but as Prabhupada says, slow but sure. If we follow this practice, very scientific, chanting, dancing, singing, devotional service, then Krishna will protect us, just as he protected Arjuna and the 5 Pandavas. So this is a process of Krishna consciousness, very scientific and subtle. So thank you. Any comments or questions? Realization? Yes, Naikatma Prabhu.
Thank you. Just a comment. It was very significant how in the beginning of your discourse you mentioned how even in warfare the chariots were and the warriors were bedecked with jewels and gems and you could see how it's much more advanced than the camouflage fatigues and armor plates that they try and put on people these days. And Srila Prabhupada comments that every intelligent astrologer knows that when the constellations are properly situated, when the stars are properly situated, that when it rains, the rains fall into the oceans and pearls are produced. Or when it falls on the head of a snake or an elephant, gems are produced. So even that was done very naturally and much more developed than the darkness that you find in our so-called advanced societies.
Wow, thank you. Amazing. Any other questions, comments, realizations? Okay, thank you for your kind attention. All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam.